Let's go for a short break. Once we return, there's more to come here on Good Morning Africa. Do stay.
For years, the Ghanaian passport has opened doors, across borders, across dreams. Today, we step into the future. With the new chip-embedded passport, Ghana is safer, more secure, and ready for tomorrow. We're working around the clock, literally, introducing 24-hour passport services, e-tracking at your fingertips, courier delivery to your doorstep, a 30% reduction in fees, and you get your new chip-embedded passport in under 15 days or in just 5 days with expedited service. Because your time matters, your dreams matter, and every Ghanaian deserves a passport process that is simple, dignified, and yours. The Mahama administration is breaking every barrier, so nothing stands between you and the world.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the newspaper review segment of Good Morning Africa, live from our studios at number 48 Swanika Street in Abilimpe, also in 46 South African countries via satellites in some parts of Europe and South America. Always a pleasure to come your way with this segment of the show. Let me quickly run you through the topics that we have tabled for today's conversation. Then I'll proceed to introduce my guest. Then we quickly get into it. Once again, Russia warns U.S. against direct military aid to Israel. Ofori-Atta fails in court attempt to stop OSP from declaring him wanted. Total nonsense. Boakye slams NPP neck, that is the National Executives Committee, over decision to elect flag bearer before executives. These are stories that we have tabled for today's discussion. As usual, be a part of it. I'll implore you to send your thoughts, your messages. A text line has been displayed on your screen: 0559919-802, 0559919-802. I've been joined in the studios by Dr. Felix Larry Esilfi. Dr. Esilfi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I hope you're fine.
I'm doing well.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, I'm also glad to be here this morning. You know, Pan-African TV is our home. So whenever we are called, we are glad to be here. Yeah.
Right. I expect Mr. Philip London to join us shortly. I've spoken to him. He'll be with us soon. Also, Alhaji Abi Husseini. I know, of course, this isn't the usual Thursday guest, but of course, it's going to be an exciting conversation regardless. We'll start straight away with the story about Israel and Iran. It has been a trending story for the past few days, particularly because of what is happening between these two countries. On today's edition, of the inside newspaper, the front page. It says Russia wants US not to help Israel military against Iran. Russia wants US not to help Israel military against Iran. We do know that the US has interest, of course, in this particular war. We know which of the two countries that they have some bias for, or they have some bias towards. But Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabakov yesterday, Wednesday, June 18, warned that direct US military assistance to Israel could radically destabilize the situation in the Middle East, where an air war between Iran and Israel has raged for 6 days. In separate comments, the head of Russia's SVR Foreign Intelligence Service, Sergei Narishkin, was quoted as saying that the situation between Iran and Israel was now critical. Ryabkov warned the U.S. against direct military assistance to Israel, or even considering such speculative options, according to Russia's Interfax news agency. This would be a step that would radically destabilize the entire situation. It cited him as saying, earlier, a source familiar with U.S. internal discussions said President Donald Trump and his team were considering a number of options, including joining Israel in strikes against Iranian nuclear sites. Very interesting. On Tuesday, Trump openly mused on social media about killing Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, but said, "We are not going to take him out, at least not for now." Interesting. Israel launched airstrikes last Friday against Iran's nuclear sites, scientists and top military leaders in a surprise attack that Russia condemned as unprovoked and illegal. Iran has responded with missiles and drone attacks on Israeli cities. Russian President Vladimir Putin, who in January signed a strategic partnership treaty with Iran, has called for a cessation of hostilities between the two sides. Reporting by Reuters, writing by Lucy Papachristou and Mark Trevelyan, and then the editing of this story was done by Andrew Osborne. Right, so this is the story as captured in page 5 of today's edition of the Inside newspaper. That geopolitical, tension between Iran and Israel. There's been a lot of conversation going on relative to this particular discussion. Yesterday, we didn't get anything particularly, but it appears that if the United States decides to join, and like I read in this paper, that Trump is toying with a decision to, kill the supreme leader, then it means that this could be something that would let Russia also join the fray, and could perhaps 2025 would be the start, or maybe the start of a third world war. Dr. Zilfi, yes. I'm sure you've observed happenings in Iran and Israel, things that have been going on, the geopolitical conflict between these two countries. I want to gauge your thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Bless, and a very good morning to our cherished viewers out there. Bless, so the geopolitical situation around the world, especially within the enclave of the Middle East, it's not starting today. It has been there for years. In fact, students of history have been doing a lot of history courses on that, as case studies and all of that. But the point of the matter is that, why Israel? One country within the enclave of the Middle East has problem with almost all the nations around that country. Israel has a problem with Lebanon. It has problem with Syria. The Yemen also has a problem. The Palestinians have issues. And then the Irans that has been there for so long a time. And we all know that the land that the Israelis are even occupying is actually not their land. And in our local parlance, if you are staying within the community and you always pick a fight, you alone, always having a fight with, household A, household B, household C, then the question is, what is really wrong with you? Or if you tend to have misunderstanding, everybody is wrong, but you are right, then it means that you have to actually run to your shelf and also do personal introspection, assess yourself, and see if there is something also wrong with you. Because all cannot be wrong, and you alone, you are right. So Israel has actually been a thorn. It has been a thorn in the flesh of nations within the Middle East enclave. And it's all because they want to exercise superpower over all the nations over there. And that is actually very, very wrong. And in my humble opinion, I am so saddened with the inactions of the United Nations up till now. If there is any nation that has ever committed war crimes, Israel should be the first, especially their prime minister. So what is going on, I think, is illegal, because that attack that they actually executed or embarked on Friday was highly unprovoked. The very thing they claim they are fighting against, which is the possession of nuclear resources and nuclear weapons, Israel is also having. Even America itself is having. Other nations are having. So why do you have problem when the Iranians are also having, nuclear weapon or are pursuing a nuclear program? The point of the matter is that every nation has security policy that they are actually embarking on to ensure that they safeguard the peace and security of their nations. And that is not a crime. Now, America. I see America as one country that is highly hypocrite. One nation, almost every atrocity in the world, they seem to have interest in that particular atrocity. We all remember what happened in Libya. We remember what happened currently in Burkina Faso. And the Palestinians. Americans had, interest in that. And now currently, we can talk of, the Iranians, whatever they are going through now. And America is doing this. Whenever America has an interest, it's nothing but they agreed to actually exploit people of their natural resources. If you look at what happened in Libya, it was because of oil. So they started using the international media to tarnish the image of the late Gaddafi, claiming that he doesn't respect human rights, and there were all sorts of manner of falsehood against that man, because Americans sat down and realized that that nation is becoming very powerful economically and then also trade-wise, in the sense that the per capita GDP at that time under the reign of Gaddafi was far higher than that of US. If you look at Burkina Faso, recently Traoré, has not done anything against, the United States, has not breached any international, security protocols, nothing. But just for the fact that he is taking full control of the state resources, especially gold and all other mineral resources, America seems to have an issue about it. And the United Nations is sitting down, not doing anything about it. And if Africans did not rise, and in fact, kudos to Africa. I think now we are growing and then we are becoming more alert. They started, this black security couple from US started, tarnishing the image of Traoré, that he's using the gold to make himself powerful, and Burkinabés are not having freedom and all of that. But this time, thanks to social media and the easy access to internet resources, we all knew what was going on. And so you saw how, even in France, the African diasporans, diasporas over there, staged, a massive, demonstration in protest against that. And I think Africans did well. Now, Burkina Faso is not fully secured, but at least the Americans are aware that it's actually a no-go area. And that is good. if you look at, you know, Iran, America is just interested in the, I mean, it's actually interested in the nuclear resources over there. Just for, you know, in terms of manufacturing their security weapons and all of that. That is what they are interested in. And so they are using Israel as their face shield to attack, you know, Iran. And I say that the attack by Israel is actually not by Israel, but it's by the Americans. Just that they are using Israel as their rep to do that. And I am happy to also let people understand that, you know, the Christians and the Muslims actually should be careful. This war is actually not religious. It is a religious war. In fact, my checks this morning before I came, I realized that there are more Christians even in Iran than Israel. You know, the Israelis are mostly Jews. They are interested in, actually they practice Judaism. And statistically, I think the Iranians have kind of mixed religious kind of establishment over there. Christians and Muslims are there. And ironically, even Muslims are more in Israel than Iran. I think that is the perception. And you see, this perception that anybody who speaks Arabic is a Muslim, also we need to change that particular perception. The national language of, you know, the Iranians is actually Arabic, and that of the Israelis, I think, what is their language? Is it the Jewish language and all of that? So even in Ghana here, we have this perception that once somebody speaks a northern language, he's a, you know, he's a northern, he's a Muslim, and so we need to change that particular perception. So I am happy that President Putin is standing up to them. Not only Putin, Chinese or China, not is it South Korea or whatever, and even some of the Arabian countries, you know, like is it Iraq or so, have also declared that they will join the party if US then makes a mistake to attack, you know, Iran. And I am happy about that. In fact, the retaliatory attack against Israel in Tel Aviv, I mean, is it Tel Aviv? That is their capital. Was so massive that, you see, it is now that it is clear to me, and I believe the people who say that international media houses like BBC, Al Jazeera, and CNN are biased, because they have tried everything possible to hide the videos and the footages of the damage caused by the Iranians in Israel. But thanks be to TikTok and the rest, we have been able to see some of them. And actually that has put fear in the Israelis. And that is why, you know, their prime minister has been calling upon Trump to, you know, intervene. And now Trump is trying to, I think he actually attended the G7 summit or something. He had to cut his stay short and come back and meet his Security Council to plan as to whether they have to, you know, attack or join the party or whatever. But the point of the matter is that, you see, this time the world geopolitics is not like it used to be in the early 90s and the early 80s and early 90s and then the early 80s and so forth. Now everybody has formed alliances, and I think that is good that we do that. And I am happy Putin, the Chinese, the Yemen government and other Arabian countries have all declared that US should back off, and if possible the prime minister of Israel has to be arrested, because you see, the recent attack on Palestine caused about 75,000 deaths, of which almost 90% of them are women and children. Now they are accusing, if you listen to the media houses, international media, they are accusing Iranians that the retaliatory attack that they embarked on, instead of them to target military bases in Israel, they were attacking, you know, civilian enclaves and all of that. But these people, in fact, even the first attack that the Israelis actually embarked on Friday, they killed their top scientists. Are they not civilians? Or it's because it's actually their nuclear site, so it is assumed that everybody there is a military officer or is a security couple. So they need to give us a break. And America should be very careful. This is Trump, who was, you know, who when he was campaigning, actually when he won, he declared that he would not take Americans to war. But he has actually reneged on his promise to the people of America. And I think the citizens of US need to actually hold him accountable to that, because you see, if he does make a mistake and then attack Iran, the attack that will come on America, I think they cannot count their losses. So for me, the war is illegal, and so I support Putin and all other states that have declared their allegiance with Iran, that if US then makes a mistake, they will actually also attack or join the party by attacking America. And that is a good call. If we want peace, we need to actually respect the sovereign will and the sovereignty of every nation. Because Iran has not done anything. They never attacked Israel. It is Israel that actually started. And instead of you to try to break a peace, a bottle of peace with them, or a glass of peace with them, you are rather, fanning the fire and all of that. So I think it's a bad call on the side of US, and in my humble opinion, it's a right call on the side of Russians.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. Let me also find out from you. You've also been talking about the possible repercussions that this could have on the African continent, Ghana as well. A few days ago, Monday, the 16th of this month, June 2025, was supposed to be the day that would kickstart the implementation of the 1 cedi per liter of on a liter of fuel. Yeah. That energy sector levy. It wasn't to be. It was actually postponed by government due to the fact that this war could have some disruptions on the gains that we have made, or that the gains that this government has made relative to oil pricing. So we have seen a reduction in oil prices, but we all cannot discount the might, the economic might that Iran has in that field when it comes to oil, and the fact that their shores and that enclave is the transportation zone for the carting of oil across countries. So that could have a direct, repercussions on that. So let's also look at the possible repercussions that this war could have, particularly on Ghana and the African continent.
Okay. Let me start by saying that, first of all, Israel has no trade relationship with Ghana. And just that we have bilateral relationship with them. That is why they have their High Commission or embassy in Ghana. We need to actually take note of that. Number two, Ghana doesn't have direct trade relationship with Iran. We just have bilateral relationship. But you see, just as you rightly said, I agree with you, the externalities of that particular war is actually not going to be positive for Ghana. In fact, not every nation that rely heavily on petroleum, energy or resources for generating energy in the country. So I agree that, in fact, before the war actually started, we saw that the international, the price of crude at the international market was actually on the decline. And so even before we saw a significant appreciation of the cedi, we were enjoying some reduction in fuel prices in Ghana. And then the icing on the cake was the blessing that we received due to effective policy arrangement of the current government. The cedi also appreciated, and then we started enjoying some, reduction in terms of benefit, as in the form of reduction of prices of fuel at the pump for the people of Ghana. Now that the war has started, you could see that if you look at the prices of international, very important international commodities like crude. In this case, Iran is one of the major giants when it comes to production of crude products. You see that the global price for crude product has actually shooting up. And so I am happy that the President of the Republic of Ghana has actually instructed his Minister for Finance and the Minister for Energy and Green Transition to monitor the situation, do some sort of simulation, and come out with an effective model that will help us actually absorb the shock. And I think that is a good thing. So to answer your question, yes, it's going to have an issue. And that is also one of the reasons for which the government decided to indefinitely suspend the introduction of the 1 cedi 1 liter kind of levy that they wanted to actually impose on the fuel prices. So it's a good call that they have suspended, because no matter how you look at it, we rely heavily on crude product for the generation of our energy. And so if Iran is under attack or is in war, now they would like to halt whatever, crude product that they would have, exported, so that the prices at the world market would have been stabilized, or we can even enjoy further downward trend in order to actually shore up our economic gains. And so once the war is ongoing, definitely there will be a price increase, and that will have some sort of effect on us. But you see, Bless, before I land, let me take this opportunity to also make some sort of a call that I've always been making. As the president rightly said, Ghana is not insulated or immune from external shocks. The gains that we are making, I've said it time and over, that there should be a deliberate effort to sustain the gain and even improve upon it. And how do we do that? Is to ensure that we put policies and programs in place to reduce the shocks that we can have. In terms of external shock that we can have whenever there is instability in the global market. A typical example is this. I will still call on the government, as they have done a good job in the area of gold, which is the mineral resources. The same thing ought to be done in the oil sector, especially toll. Because you see, Ghana, we are blessed with crude, isn't it? As I speak to you, I stand to be corrected. When the crude is drilled, we send it outside the country, it is refined over there, then we go and buy at a higher price. So Kwame Nkrumah, in his wisdom, foresaw that such a situation will occur. Because this exploration that we did, that we found oil, it started in the days of Nkrumah, and that is why he strategically put in place toll. The current administration, they have done a good job, and I'm pleading with them that they should revive toll to be on its feet, so that we can begin to, if not all, significant proportion of the fuel that we consume as a nation will be refined over here, and that will show up the strength of our cedi further. That is what I would say.
Right. Thank you very much. Also, Mr. Philip Landing has joined us. Mr. Landing, good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're fine. We are currently discussing the Israel-Iran conflict, the kind of devastation that it has left in its wake, and also there's a new development. Russia, there's a story on the front page of the Inside newspaper, and I've seen it on other media platforms as well, where Russia is telling the US not to have anything to do directly in this war in terms of supporting Israel. I don't know what that means. Some people have translated that to mean that if they dare do anything of sort, then Russia would also probably join, and this could escalate into a world war. I know you have something to share with us on this particular topic.
Well, thank you, Bless, and good morning to you, good morning to the colleague, and good morning to the viewers. The issue of this war between Israel and Iran is a war that, at least on the part of Benjamin Netanyahu, has been planned for a long time. Over the last about nearly 3 decades, Netanyahu himself, even from the days when he was just a member of parliament to when he became prime minister, opposition leader, senior government official, has always been campaigning that Iran was on the verge of developing a nuclear weapon, and therefore it was necessary for Israel to take out Iran's nuclear capabilities. At every stage, the world, through Benjamin Netanyahu, has been he's always been trying to convince the world that, look, Israel is just days away, just weeks away, just, virtually on the brink of developing nuclear weapon capacity. And if Iran did that, Israel and the survival of the state of Israel was at stake. As I said, this has gone on for over 3 decades. We remember also that in the case of Muammar Gaddafi, there was a claim that Gaddafi was developing nuclear weapons. It got to a point, Gaddafi said, no, something. I am trying to develop nuclear energy as an alternative for my energy development in my country. So I give up, and I invite the whole world to come and see that I'm not developing nuclear weapons. The West used all kinds of other excuses, etc. They invaded Gaddafi. All the significant developments that Gaddafi had done for his people, very significant. In the process of trying to get Gaddafi out, they destroyed, bombed out all those projects. Saddam Hussein, they said Saddam was trying to develop nuclear weapons, weapons of mass. Saddam said, look, I'm not doing nuclear development. So he opened all his nuclear facilities to the IEA for them to inspect and see that he was not doing any nuclear development. So he's doing weapons of mass destruction. They went in there, bombed out Saddam, destroyed his country, destroyed all the projects and all the things he had done for his people in the name of removing weapons of mass destruction. In the end, we saw there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. But the West had gone in there, bombed out Iraq, and there were no weapons of mass destruction. The Western countries were not accountable to anybody for what they had done. Today it's Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu started again, oh, Iran is doing nuclear development, nuclear this and that, the other. Then Donald Trump becomes president of America. He says, look, Iran, you people are doing... Iran said, look, we are not doing any nuclear development. We were cooperating with International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, when you, Donald Trump, came and stopped the whole process. We are ready to cooperate. Donald Trump says, okay, if you are truly ready to cooperate, then let's sit down and negotiate again. And as an incentive, I will remove all the sanctions against you, Iran. So the Iranians say, oh, okay, then that's good. So then they relax. They drop their guard. Sanctions have been removed. And once the sanctions are removed, it will take about 3 months for the people of Iran to begin to feel the effects of the removal of the blockage. So while the sanctions are removed, the Iranians are happy, and they start negotiations with the United States again, what happens? Benjamin Netanyahu goes and starts attacking Iran. And Iran was caught, as it were, napping. They didn't expect that. In the process of the attack, the Israelis pinpointed certain military leaders and took them out. So what happened? Iran was able to respond. And the Israelis never imagined that Iran could launch missiles into Israel, because they have what they thought was the Iron Dome, a missile defense system that would stop or intercept and block any missiles coming into their territory. But the missiles went through, and Israel has been hit with Iranian ballistic and other missiles. Now, the Israelis thought that having done that initial significant attack on Iran, and Iran not being able to attack them, it would have put Iran in a certain position. But Iran is fighting back. In the last 24 or 48 hours, we are told that the number of missiles Iran is launching into Israel has reduced. We are told that it's because the Iranians are looking at Israel not being the ultimate target, but they may have to be attacking other United States interests. United States bases in the wider Middle East. And the United States has significant military bases in many Middle Eastern countries. So this war has only just started. The Houthis who were challenging the Strait of Hormuz, where a lot of the world's oil shipping goes through, had also, because of the way international politics was going, negotiations were going, had stopped their attacks. There is a fear that the Houthis are also going to escalate their attacks and resume their attacks again and challenge the Strait of Hormuz, which will limit the amount of oil coming out of the oil-producing countries, much of the world oil-producing countries, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and all those countries, to the rest of the world. And as a result, it's going to affect world oil prices. We have already begun to notice that, and of course, as is expected, oil prices have begun to go up. And the longer this war continues, the higher the oil prices will go up. Because the world has become accustomed to the fact that whenever there's these conflicts in the Middle East, which is about 90% producer of world oil, the prices go up. So we, the innocent bystanders, will definitely feel the result. And it's got to a point where the whole world must begin to look seriously at the way things are going. Israel has never opened itself to its nuclear facilities to the inspection of the International Atomic Energy Agency. IAEA has never been into Israel to inspect their their nuclear processing facilities. But we are informed that Israel has actually developed nuclear weapons. Iran is developing a nuclear capacity, as they say, to produce energy for their development. They open themselves out to IAEA inspections to assure the world that they are not going into nuclear bomb-making capacities. And yet we see what is happening to Iran. We saw what happened to Iraq. We saw what was done to Libya. So the West is just using this as an excuse to bomb out third world countries that are just trying to develop themselves. When Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown, our nuclear facilities at the Kwabenya nuclear, atomic energy, was actually dismantled and sent to the West because we were using Russian technology, something that the West didn't have an idea of. It was dismantled and sent to the West for them to use it to research, to advance their own nuclear capacity. So this war between Israel and Iran that has just started, yes, it's going to affect us. the oil price will continue to escalate. Because we are told that the Iranians have begun to make certain overtures to Donald Trump in particular, so that some kind of negotiation or discussion can be done to halt the hostilities. Israel has also realized that in as much as they try to destroy Iran's nuclear infrastructure, yes, they have caused some damage, but they have not been able to terminate the Iranian effort, because those facilities are deep down, over 90 meters below the surface of the earth, heavily reinforced, and Israel does not have the military capability to hit those bunkers. So now the Israelis are saying that, oh, the only bombs that can hit those installations are bombs that only the United States has. So Israel is now asking the United States to come in. If Donald Trump is, we're on television, we're on national platform, so I'll choose my words very carefully. If Donald Trump is not wise enough to not get involved and try to get the United States directly into attempting to destroy those facilities, because it would invite Russia into this conflict. The world is tottering on the Third World War. The world saw what happened in the Second World War. Innocent African countries. Our soldiers, our men were recruited to go and fight the West. It won't happen today. If the West is fighting, no, there's no soldier. I don't expect any president of Ghana to say our soldiers should go and fight on behalf of any of those countries. No. But there's a way that those conflicts can extend to us. Because already Iran has put America on notice that if they try, their facilities around the world will be targets for them. They would target not just American military bases, but American interests. And Israel has already started to try and attract America or get America involved. They went and bombed some gas installations in Iran, which are not far from American installations just across the border. So it's expected that Iran might, as a retaliatory measure, attack those installations. And when that happens, you are virtually inviting America. Donald Trump went to do a G7 summit, and the way things were going, especially after the attack of this gas facility, he quickly left to go back to America to go and start, planning seriously as to the consequences that this war can bring to them. So, Israel's attack on Iran is not simply because Iran is doing some nuclear development, because Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, has said this to the world at the United Nations, at various fora, over the last 30 years in his different capacities, that Iran was on the verge of getting nuclear weapons. So we are, and taking the history of the way the West has behaved with Libya, with Iraq, Saddam Hussein, we know that it's a false narrative and just an excuse to attack Iran. A very irresponsible development. Very irresponsible. If one country just gets up and says, oh, this other country is doing this, so therefore, and then goes and attacks it, why would there be peace in this world? But Israel is going too far and is just becoming irresponsible simply because it has the support of the West, particularly the United States. It is unacceptable. You know, this is simply unacceptable. We are sitting, look at what Israel is doing to Gaza. Yes, it is true that Hamas went and abducted some Israelis and that kind of thing. Yes, it is true. So Israel, like any country, has a right to respond and react. But look at the response. Look at the response. Israel is killing children. It's like they are trying to exterminate the Palestinians. I mean, what is this? And the world is sitting down and we are just watching. Some of these international news networks, I just simply don't want to watch again because it is too disheartening. There are hundreds of trucks filled with aid to help the Palestinians. Israel has blocked them. They can't enter. Israel has said, okay, we are going to allow just a few aid stations, 4 or 5 or so of them, to give people food. And when people go and queue at those stations to get those limited supplies, the same Israelis go and kill them. And the world is sitting down. We must condemn it. We must condemn it. It's wrong. You know, so it's unfortunate that this is developing. The oil price is going to go up. It will continue to go up. Yes. In Ghana, we are thankful and grateful to the fact that the cedi is strengthening, and the strength at the time the oil price was going down and fuel prices were coming down, and we are all having the benefits of buying fuel at lower prices. But we must also come to terms with the fact that with these current international developments, it is very likely that as the prices have begun to escalate, it will even go further. So,
thank you very much. I've received an interesting message, and ideally I wouldn't have read it. I wouldn't have read it out, but I think that it's high time we cured such ignorance. And this is what the person said. I really don't agree with you. Do a proper research from the colonial times and you will know that America has done more than enough for the world. Can you tell me Putin is right in Ukraine? Israel gives light and water to Gaza, but see what the sponsored terrorists did on October 7th to Israel in the world. In the world, it is only Arabs that create terrorist groups and sponsor them. Long live America, long live Israel. This is the message that one Eric Appiah sent to me on WhatsApp. Very interesting.
Yeah, if with your permission, if I may respond to Eric Appiah. First of all, let me say good morning to him, wherever he is, and he sent that message. You know, the difficulty we have is that a lot of our people believe in all sincerity that, I mean, from like as Eric is saying, that America is doing so much for the world, doing so much for Palestine and the Palestinians, and the Arabs are the culprits. They sincerely believe that. So I don't hold it against him. What many of them do not appreciate is that, does Eric know the situation in which the people of Gaza were living under, under Israeli blockade? Does he know? What is Eric's position on the situation in South Africa before the removal of apartheid? It is no different. It is no different. In apartheid, South Africa, black people had no business going to certain parts of their own country. Now there is no restriction. Now there's no restriction. But due to certain economic constraints, people simply cannot go from one area to another. Economic constraints. But there is no law barring any South African today from traveling from one point of South Africa to another. But under the apartheid regime, you could not even leave your own locality. No, you could not. You could not share facilities. A black South African would not sit next to a white South African on a platform like this. It was illegal. It was against the law. That is what is happening to the people of Gaza. Israeli blockade. So, and of course, the narrative has been that, oh, it's America that is providing these facilities. Who said America is providing what facilities? Gaza, the government of Hamas, was what was providing local government development in Gaza. And that's why Hamas was so strong. Hamas won, they had an election, and Hamas won. What stopped them? We believe in democracy. In South Africa, the African National Congress went to elections against what was left of the apartheid government. And that ANC won, you know. They won the election unanimously. Yes, what happened on October 7th in terms of the kidnap of the Israelis and the killing of those Israelis by Hamas forces was a consequence of what the Israelis have been doing to Hamas. What's the consequence? You know, many years ago, when Hamas abducted one Israeli soldier, they kidnapped him and sent him into their tunnels underground. Israel bombed the hell out of Palestine. They said at the time that they had actually wiped out the capability of the Palestinians ever to attack them. That one Israeli soldier who was kidnapped, when eventually there was talks and, you know, settlement, was handed back to the Israelis. You know where they handed him over? In Cairo. The man who was who was kidnapped and sent hostage underground to their tunnels. They eventually sent him to Cairo. And when they had all the negotiations, he said, okay, we'll only stop bombing you if you bring him back. They handed him over in Cairo. Over how many years later, Hamas has developed the capacity to abduct so many Israelis, kill so many Israeli soldiers as well. Even as we speak, there are still Israelis in their custody. And Israel is bombing out the Palestinians. Do you think bombing them out will solve the problem? Because those children who yesterday saw their brothers and sisters and parents being killed and they are crying, you think they won't grow up with a hatred for Israel? You don't solve problems that way. It is by negotiation. You sit down, call the people and say, do something. Let us, look, and that is why we must salute Nelson Mandela. Because what the South Africans went through, if South Africa wasn't blessed with a leader like Mandela, well, what would South Africa have been by now? The man sat down and said, you know something? I know what you people have done to me. You've imprisoned me for 27 years. I was in Robben Island. Yet, we have come to this stage. Let us talk peace. Let us work together. Let us move forward. So if the world doesn't have leaders of wisdom, I mean, where will we go? You spoke earlier about, and also in his, Eric's, if I heard him right, he made reference to Russia and Ukraine. Does Eric remember the Cuban missile crisis? When Russia was sending missiles to Cuba, America said, how can you send missiles so close to us? The world was at the brink of a war between America and Russia. The Russians withdrew their missiles. And you, the West, want to send a base in Ukraine next door to Russia, and you think Russia will sit down? Let us be, you know, I mean, you see, unfortunately, some of our people, you know, they have been consumed by the narrative. So I don't hold it against Eric. I'm happy he actually sent us that text or that message, you see, because many of our people believe that America has been doing the best for the rest of the world. Donald Trump has actually made, there's a fancy expression, I don't know whether I should put it, I should say it here. I will not say it. The nakedness of America has been exhibited by Donald Trump. You know, they are, you know, look at the way he's treating immigrants. Look at the way he's treating non-Americans. It is a reflection of the inner core of the United States. You see, so I just hope that people like I don't know him, so I can't say my friend, but Eric, would reflect on some of these things and begin to appreciate that, no, it's not correct. The West is not being, they are actually doing everything possible to keep us backward. If you have a problem with Gaddafi, why go and bomb all the projects he had done for the good of his people? And since the attack on Libya, look at where Libya is.
Libya has never been the same.
Oh, look, Libya's reserves have been frozen in Western banks, and their economies are benefiting from it. Billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. So what are you talking about?
Right. I'll do some more messages. Bless, good morning. What I don't understand is that all religions are against taking human life. Also, all nations and constitutions seek to protect its citizens. But why do the so-called strong nations want to kill other countries' citizens? Are they not human as theirs, as the people in their country? Jonah from Kumbungu, thank you, Jonah, for your message. To some more, this one here says that Eric should have known better. The most enemy of African development is America. Eric's message is based on sheer ignorance. Baba Gomda from Kumbungu sent this one. Thank you. Hey, Kumbungu people are watching this morning. Thank you so much for your time. Let's do some more messages. Okay. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, your panelists and your cherished viewers across the globe. History tells us accordingly to both Christians and Muslims that humans' migration started from Babylon, Iran of today. If the battle among these nations from years back still ongoing today, my contribution is I plead with all the religious bodies to at least think about the innocents. If truly their holy books prohibits shedding of innocent blood, and then they should cease fire immediately. We should stop moving into hypocritical politics again. Also, the whole world should form religious and political neutral bodies to look into the matter and solve it amicably. Thanks. My name is Togbi Boso from Togbi Boso Ababio. All right, Togbi Boso, thank you for your message. Good morning, Pan-African TV. I'm Nasigri Basani, a native of So in the Mamprogo Mwadori district of the Northeast region, where I'm watching you live from. We, the people of So, are still struggling to get mobile network to be part of Ghana. Ghana's decision making. Appeal is still ongoing to the Ministry of Communication and people in authority that matter to have a good look at So mobile network. Bless, thank you. This is something that I very much understand. I've been to this part of the country, and of course, I was in Dagbere Buare last year. Also, I was at Kulgona, where the MP for Nalegu Gambaga constituency, then he commissioned, a classroom. He actually also provided internet. Unfortunately, there was no network, so the internet, the machine is there, but there's no network. There's no network. And so, yes, I'd also appeal to the communication ministry to, it is high time we had internet service in every part of the country. You should be able to pick up a phone and call anybody anywhere in Ghana. Unfortunately, that is not the case in these parts. So I'm making a passionate appeal once again to the communications ministry. It's high time we did that. The networks as well, the MTNs, the Airtel Tigos, the Telecells, please. It is high time that these people had internet. We've come too far. It's 2025. It is high time they had internet. That is just by the way. To some more messages. Good morning. Why do most Ghanaians praise Israel? Is it that they think it is a chosen country by God? Most terrorist countries in the world, the most terrorist country in the world is the United States of America and Israel. Professor Meda, like I was saying yesterday, there's this perception that Israel is God's country, and
There are people in this country who thought Israel was actually
Actually, I would say an in-law who is a pastor. And he traveled to Israel, and when he came, he told me that, Felix, this Christianity that we are carrying it on our head and not giving people the peace of mind, to the extent that if you don't share your religious belief with us, you are more or less a candidate to hell. If you go to Israel, he said when they got there and they started praying, when they got to where is it the Wailing Wall or something like that was there, and because of the teachings they have received, immediately they started speaking in tongues. He said the people of Israel were just looking at them in shock.
We are holier than the Pope.
See, and let me add my voice to the network issue. I think there is recently reduction. I think increase in data bundles.
Yes.
For certain.
So there's increase in the work,
yes.
not in the prices.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes,
the
bundle. Yeah, in terms of value, how much data you get for paying a certain amount, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. But I will add my voice to the people who are also speaking about quality of service.
Yeah.
In fact, this morning when I was coming, I received a call from my village, and it was a struggle. So I also want to add my voice. Not only the hint, even in Accra, the city of Accra, we still have poor, service quality. So the ministry in charge of that is the Ministry of Communication should be up and doing in terms of actually impressing on these telcos or the service providers to give us what we really deserve. Because Ghana is one of the countries with high cost of data and core credits, and so if we sacrifice to pay all this amount and we are not getting the worth of it, I think that is not good. So I'll add my voice to that.
All right. I'll do a few more messages and we'll proceed to our next topic. We've exhausted so much time on this Iran-Israel issue. Of course, it is very, very important. This one here, it says this is from Idrisu Mbayana from Wale Wale. This is what Ghanaians should understand about Iran and Israel. Iran is not an Arab country, it is predominantly Persian. Israel is not a Christian nation, it is predominantly Jewish. The Jewish people practice Judaism, not Christianity. In Israel, both Christianity and Islam are minority religions, but there are more Muslims than Christians. Iran actually has a larger Christian population than Israel. There are more Arabs in Israel than there are Christians. All right, so this is
that is true.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you for this piece of information. Good morning, Bless. This war would eventually turn into World War III if care is not taken. US is just a troublemaker. Sublo from Nadoli Khalil, thank you for your message. This one here would be the final message. Bless, is it true that Netanyahu is on the run to Greece? I thought he's a man. Me Mensa Sprinters Road. All right, thank you. There are so many of you watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for your time. So that you people don't like commenting. The YouTube viewers are like, but we actually have a bulk of our viewers on YouTube, even more than Facebook. I want to thank you so much. But Mr. Philip London, I'll stay with you on this next topic, and it has got to do with the NPP, a party you once had ties with. They have announced 31st January 2026 as the day they are going to elect a flag bearer. Certain people in the party, high-ranking members in the party, are not happy with this, especially for the fact that you are not electing executives. Why wouldn't you elect national executives before you proceed to elect a flag bearer? This time around, they are electing. I don't know if that is the practice in the NPP, but this time around, they are electing a flag bearer first before they proceed to elect executives. People are saying that this is being done to favor a particular candidate. Yesterday, Dr. Yosei Duchum, former education minister, announced officially that he's going to join in the race. We know a certain Brian Champon has also declared his intention. Kennedy Japono, of course, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, obviously, would also be contesting. What is happening? Is it a departure from the norm in the party?
Well, a certain great man once said, Zufiasen, as he said, the New Patriotic Party was a party that was very dear to my heart. But unfortunately, the party began to depart from a lot of its own core principles. See, the New Patriotic Party always, after an election cycle, starts the process of electing polling station executives, then constituency executives, regional executives, and national executives. And then after that, presidential candidates. Then later, it begins to select parliamentary candidates for the various constituencies. That has always been a practice. But it appears as though the New Patriotic Party is rushing. And the party has always been used to that cycle of internal elections. And there was a wisdom behind that after the election, the party renews itself, starting from the polling station. In this case, polling station executives have not been elected. Constituency executives are not elected. And also, you see, when polling station executives are elected and constituency executives are elected, there are other constituency positions which are appointed. So, they are elected officers. The elected officers then also appoint some other assistant officers to support them. The elected officers at the constituency level, I think, are about 9 or so, and then the rest are appointed to make a total of 17. And after those are appointed, the constituency goes on to then appoint the patrons and other bodies to support the constituency. But now it appears the party is going in to elect a flag bearer in January. Well, I don't know. I have friends in the party, but I'm not one of the executives. I don't know the thinking behind this decision. There is a speculation that is to favor maybe a particular candidate. But if they go this way, it's only going to worsen the problems in the party. You have said that the speculation is because they want to favor a particular person. I have also heard other speculations that it's because if oral and all the functions go on, so many people so implicated that maybe don't get anybody to stand. So it is better they elect people now than wait later, because so many people might be implicated. I don't know. These are all speculations.
So assuming they elect someone to become a flag bearer, and it so happens that the person has issue to answer or questions to answer as a result of aura, his election as flag bearer, does it insulate the person from being questioned?
First of all, you are asking the wrong person the question.
No, I asked because of
the party people are taking this decision.
I am asking because of the point you made that.
No, I'm just talking about.
Yeah.
I'm saying
some of the speculations.
I'm saying that you made one speculation.
Yeah.
There are other speculations.
Okay.
I cannot answer to any of those speculations.
Okay.
I cannot answer to them. You know, at the end of the day, the party has taken this decision, and in the immediate aftermath of taking that decision is getting strong response from, or strong reaction from other leaders in the party. And you mentioned that Dr. Dutum has announced his intention.
Yeah.
I also know other people have intentions and they've already started working towards those intentions. They may not have announced, but they're also working. And those announcements will come. Maybe knowing the election cycle of the party, they have it in their plans to have announced maybe later in the process.
Yeah.
But what is also known is that some people who have interest in some of these positions also try and influence the people who win some other positions, national elections, regional elections, etc. So how are those people going to function? So, as it is now, with the decision that has been made by the party, and this is a decision that has come out of the blue, I wish the party well. I wish them well. That they may be able to succumb the issues that would come out of this. You know, the party is having a lot of problems as it is now. You know, a member of the National Executive had even called for a total removal of the current National Executive. Sitting member of National Executive.
That's what the current National Executive is there.
You know?
I don't know. But this is a personal observation. It appears that there is no authority holding the party together currently. It appears that there's no authority.
You see, New Patriotic Party, the New Patriotic Party of today, it's not the same as the New Patriotic Party some of us knew. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. And that one day is a fact of my life. It's not the same. The New Patriotic Party had elders, had a lineage, as it were. A lineage. Even at the constituency level. You know, even when they're going to contest for constituency chairman, you know who and who are likely to win, who and who are likely to contest, who and who are eligible. You know, it was always there right through the party. But it was violently disrupted. Violently disrupted. So now the party is in disarray. and with the way things are going, and the way the party is not even interested in let me rephrase. The party does not appear to be interested in curing its image. Look at the revelations coming out. And it's just early days. These are early days. Look at the revelations coming out. And you either have to go and take Fabia. You won't, as a party, you should stand up and say, look, people who have caused problems, they should answer for themselves. And the party should distance itself and have its own clean image as a party. Rather, you are, well, as I said, I wish the party well. I wish the party well, and I hope that for the good of the democracy in Ghana, it's able to sort itself out and revamp its image, because there are so many people in Ghana who, there are many who had faith. There are many who still have faith. They should be careful that those who still have faith don't lose that faith in the party.
Right, thank you. Dr. Ezeofi.
Yes, Uncle Phil, good morning. I came before you, so let me take this opportunity to greet you and also say that you and Uncle Kwesi, anytime I get the opportunity to watch a Thursday morning show, I really admire the depth and the richness of your presentations. And having the opportunity to be on set with you, I think is a great privilege. I always call you Uncle Phil. Yeah. Yes, bless. So, if Uncle Phil has spoken, who am I? But in fancy for some man can be na man kumpanko. So I will say one or two things. Bless. When NPP lost the elections, I mean the 2024 elections, a very good professor friend of mine, he normally comes here, he comes on this show, but because I don't have his, his permission, I'm not going to mention his name.
He's a professor.
He's a professor, and I'm sure you have seen him. We talk a lot. In fact, we are like brothers. So he called me on phone, and more or less he's biased towards NPP. So he was expressing his grievances and his plans of helping. In fact, during the electioneering campaign in 2024, he was quite closer to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So he was sharing an idea with me of how they want to help rebuild the party and what have you. And I gave a simple advice. And that advice is actually adopted by all over the world, all politicians, political parties who go for an election and then they lose the election. When you go for an election and you lose, or even if you win, and you are a serious political party, the first assignment you do is to commission an independent research, just so you can unravel the causes of your defeat. Then that research will profess some sort of policy recommendation, party policy recommendations as to how you can use it to rebuild the party. So I suggested to him that, look, they should do that. And that particular research should be commissioned or should be handed over to an independent research organization, but not party committee. But it seems the party didn't listen. So they formed Professor Makokwe Commission. And sitting behind, the way they were going by the healing process or the consultation, whatever, I felt that there was something wrong because it was not scientific. Even the people that they met, to discuss it was like biasly selected just to, appease somebody's personality cult and all of that. And we can see now the benefit or the fruit of that particular approach is what we saw when they started this thank you tour. Whenever a party comes into opposition and Uncle Phil can correct me because I don't know much about the NPP constitution. I think at that moment there's no flag bearer. So the leader of the party is the chairman. Am I right, Uncle?
That's correct.
Good. So in this regard, the person who was supposed to lead the thank you tour and draw all potential candidates around him was the party chairman. But he was actually sidelined, and more or less Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was there. And you saw what happened in Sunyani between Abronye and Honorable Kennedy Japan. So it was like people were using that particular, platform to throw tantrums against each other just to feel good and point fingers at each other and say that you did A, you did B, and all that is why we lost and all of that. So in the end, Honorable Kennedy Japan had to back out, and the thank you tour ended in abyss. The current crop of even leadership and parliamentarians that they have in the House, like Uncle said, the NPP we know, growing up in the days of HEADMAN, Kofi Kunedu Preku, Dambuchi in the floor, when they stand up and then they are making a submission, if you are a student of politics or economics or government or whatever, you learn something out of it. But if you look at the way the current crop of parliamentarians on the side of the MPP carry themselves, it's like some student association body be, the way they are handling the the MPP political party, it's just like some campus student association kind of thing. And it is early in the morning, but I'll be a bit brutal. Under the leadership of ex-president Akufo-Addo, I've said it here, intellectualism we know in MPP and honesty and integrity was sacrificed for idiocy and stupidity. He's my uncle, but I will say it. Because you see, under his leadership, you could see that, quote unquote, and excuse my language, the idiots, people who talk without thinking or who talk before they think, are the people who had a say in the party. So you could see...
Please don't mention names.
Yes, so you could see some chairmen, you understand. And even now, look at the way, it's like elders of the party are no longer respected. Otherwise, the norm we know of MPP, when they lost the 2008 elections, was that first they started building the party from the grassroots. They go to branch executive elections, constituency level, do they have district or regional? Then they come to national before even a flag bearer is elected. But look at the haste. And I am forced to believe one of the speculations, because the little digging that I've done is that the current crop of national leadership support one particular candidate. And so the fear is that the party grassroots is not happy with the current crop of leadership that they have at the national level. So if they dare go and make a mistake to go and then do party functionary elections, the current crop of national leadership that people think, quote unquote, that they support a particular candidate may all lose their seat. And therefore, the new crop of leadership that will come may not actually favor the candidature or the candidacy of a particular candidate. And so to ensure that we get who we have decided, not what the party thinks, but who we have decided that has to be our flag bearer, let us bypass all those protocols and then go and do the flag bearer election or the flag bearership election before we come and do elections for party structures. So the reason I made the assertion that, you see, NPP is no longer scientific in its dealings is that all their dealings now is to satisfy a particular group of people without recourse to what the party structure and the party grassroots really feel and think. And that is what actually took them to opposition. And I can say, and I think Saturday or so, or last week Thursday, Uncle Kwesi sat here, and I agree with him that the direction MPP is going, if they don't change, the party will collapse. And even the 88 that they have in the House of Parliament will further reduce. So I am, in my humble opinion, NPP is no longer a party that will even attract people who once upon a time had an affiliation with them and departed because of ABC. And maybe there is a possibility that if they sit back and see that the party is doing the right thing, they may want to come back. You understand? Why is it that NDC is now more attractive to the extent that they are even attracting academia, people of academia? Gone are the days when NPP is doing conference or congress in the University of Ghana, you will see professors in there. And I think even at that time, they said NDC was meant for market women and street boys and what have you. But today, even look at Mahama's appointment. Shockingly, Professor Days, Data, the very first time Legon professors came together and appeared on national television to declare their support for NDC. I was shocked. And that is why I realized that NPP was going to lose the elections. So they need to go back to the old NPP we know. And how was the old NPP behaving? They were going by the party constitution. They were not following personalities and were not doing things to satisfy some individual. But they were going by the party constitution, respecting party structures, giving recourse to party foot soldiers and all of that. And that is why NPP was highly formidable, to the extent that NDC was in shock and in fear whenever there is national election. Look, you see that the way NDC is relaxed. Normally, Uncle, any government, when you come to power, your honeymoon is 3 months. But as I speak to you now, NDC is still enjoying honeymoon. Because every move that they make, NPP makes, doesn't really woo Ghanaians. So now, Ghanaians are more comfortable with NDC. Let's assume that even what the kind of governance that they are giving us, NDC is giving us, is not the best. We prefer them to NPP. So the party should be very careful. And sometimes it saddens my heart. People like ex-President Kufuor, I don't know whether he doesn't have a say anymore in the party. People like Honorable Dr. Kofi Kunedua Preku, Kwame Mpianim, Honorable HEADMAN, and Uncle mentioned the Dan Botwe, the goals that we know. I don't know whether this time they don't have a say in the party. And it is not good for us to have a one-party state as a country. Take it or leave it. You may hate MPP, but we need them to be a responsible opposition, a very forceful or formidable opposition to keep the current administration in check. So I will not say much. It is not too late, to actually retract what they have actually put out there, and then rather go back to the way the party was always built, starting from grassroots elections up to the national, before a flag bearer is actually, if the flag bearership race actually starts, they should open the platform. Whoever has good policies and will sell it to the delegate, and the delegate feel that if we send this person to the political market, Ghanaians will buy. Because as a political party, you are looking for power. You are not looking for personalities. So I will advise them. They should also give credence to research. They should do a proper research as to why they lost, even in their stronghold in Ashanti region. NDC got 33%. First in history. You understand? And day in and day out, you watch TikTok, the youth of Ashanti region, those content creators, all of them have turned NDC. And then clapping for the current administration and all of that. It is not good for them. For me, my advice is that, and I will align with myself with Uncle and Uncle Kwesi Pratt, that if they continue on this tangent, we will not have a party called NPP again, because already Movement for Change is soon going to be turned into political party. And I foresee that Kennedy, if not treated well, might also move out of the party, and that is not good.
For me, I hold a different perception. Of course, I'm not a panelist. I'm not allowed to share my opinions.
Oh, you can.
But I think that whatever it is, even through this way, that it's obvious that they are doing this to actually give one particular candidate the advantage. I feel it is going to be very difficult for even that candidate to win, the primaries. I don't see it happening. I don't see a one-touch victory for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the 2026 primaries of the NPP. That's a personal opinion. I don't see how that is going to happen per the people who are in there and per the records of Dr. Bawumia in the recent elections. It's going to be very difficult from my observation.
All that they are doing, they are seeking to rig. Look, that election is going to be just a procedural kind of thing.
Well, let's see how that goes. A pleasant morning to Kwame Osudansu, who is doing the watching. Good morning, boss. It's been a while. You've gone AWOL for quite some time now. That's just by the way. I'll read a few messages. Good morning, bless. MPP has offended the gods, and I repeat, nobody will lead them to electoral triumph in the next 2 decades. They should rather start their internal reorganization towards 2048 or thereabouts. Stephen Peng from good morning, Mr. Stephen Peng. It's been a while. I hope you're fine. Good morning, bless. The confusion in the MPP is part of the post-election trauma which eats them up like cancer. They started by causing destruction of properties in Parliament to score political points. MPP also embarked upon a thank you tour which ended in bloodshed. Now they want to elect a flag bearer which will send them into extension. Indeed, not even the Pope will give them victory, because the vote rigging mafia would not be in office to give them recollection and stolen verdict. All right, thank you, Ken William, for your message. Good morning, Mr. Host. If they use old executives, Bawumia can win, but the new one cannot favor him. Francis from Ho. And also the reason why I also think that is not going to happen is that if you look at even some of the people who were in the corner of the former vice president and former flag bearer of the party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, some of the people who were in his corner are moving away, because now it appears that there's that freedom of disassociation where the regime is not in place again to impose him, and so they are moving away. I see the likes of George Isi. He's with Ken. George Isi. My very own George Isi is with Kennedy Japan, and George Isi for Bawumia last year, it wasn't an easy thing. Some of the people there, have moved away from his camp. That's just by the way. To some more messages, this one here says that the new patriotic party's unpopular political decision to hold early presidential primaries on January 31, 2026 is a recipe for further internal bickering, battery, and political tsunami. The decision would deepen the seeming disunity, apathy, and rancor amongst the rank and file of the party. The Council of Elders who took this premature political decision will one day suffer the deleterious consequence of this unilateral decision, born out of bad faith and ill-conceived thoughts. This decision is fundamentally incongruous and an anathema to democratic principles. MPP will remain in opposition for almost 38 years to come. Written by Ernest Everlaf Kwashi from Dansuman. Thank you, Ernest, for your message. MPP should focus on addressing the issues in the party. They don't have the capacity to address the issues of the nation. Thank you. Thank you for your message. My time is up, but I would want to take your thoughts briefly on the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. We know that he has been declared wanted by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. His wife has been updating us I think yesterday she came to tell the Ghanaian people that he's had a successful surgery and that it will take 3 months for him to recuperate. I don't know. I don't understand the reason why she should be the one. And I don't know if that is for the OSP. But then a high court, or a human rights court actually, has quashed an injunction that Mr. Ofori-Atta sought to place on his wanted tag. And so that is the latest development on this particular issue. I don't know what that means going forward, and I don't know if that extradition process is going to happen. But we've also heard that he probably would seek asylum in, I don't know in which country. But this is the latest development with Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. Your thoughts briefly.
Well, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is not well, as we are told. So I wish him well. We are all human. We all have our challenges at various times. So if he's not well, I just pray that he gets the necessary healing so that he continues in his own, But he is a former finance minister. He has been involved in certain issues. He has been key in certain developments in Ghana. He is accountable. And if his presence is sought for that accountability, he has to make himself available. Notwithstanding the fact that I sympathize with him or anybody if they have any medical condition. Last night I was with some friends of mine who were remembering someone who was my late brother-in-law was a doctor. He was a psychiatric doctor, Dr. Samialote. And he would always look at anybody. He would joke with all his friends. And he would tell you how far away you are from the psychiatric hospital. He said, oh, last week when I saw you, I think you were closer to my hospital than. That was his joke. So everybody has some medical challenges at any particular time. Ken Ofori-Atta is accountable for what he has done. He shouldn't try and use this medical situation as an excuse. I was listening to another friend of mine who was speaking for the NDC on another platform. He was saying that he's been through the same thing, the same medical condition, gone through the same procedures, and he's fine. There are many people we know who've been through some of these procedures. It does not stop you from availing yourself. So do not attempt to use this as an excuse not to be accountable. Because once you hold public office, you hold it because the people have put you there. Even if you are appointed, if you're not elected, you are appointed. It is by virtue of the power of the people that you are there. So at the end of the day, you have to be accountable. And he must be accountable. Asking his wife, or well, I won't say asked his wife, maybe the wife on her own volition chose to come and make this plea on behalf of her husband. I respect that. It does not take away from the fact that he must. And in our political history, we've seen many people, in many cases, voluntarily come forward to try and clear their names, in spite of their own medical challenges. We must, the right thing has to be done. He must come and account. And wanting the wanted, it is clear that, look, and you see, I don't want to go too far in this matter, but taking the way he has behaved, he has been, in the past, he has always wanted to behave as if he was above any authority. You go to parliament, they tell you these are the rules of parliament, you want to go do things the way you believe as the right. No. It's wrong. It's wrong. he must present himself. The procedures he has gone through, I wish him well. I hope they are all successful. But that should not take him 3 months. Should not take him 3 months. He should come. And I think he should be interested in wanting to come and defend himself and clear his name. He's not been proven guilty in any matter. His name has been associated with so many things. The special prosecutor has raised various issues. Come and clear your name. If anybody comes and makes an accusation against me, I will be happy to get an opportunity to clear my name.
Right.
So, you know, I think he should come forward, and this message that has come from, can I understand that the wife will want to stand by her husband? That's what every wife should do.
Will do, right. It's quite axiomatic.
Yeah.
Right. Briefly.
Yes, 1 minute. First of all, I am young, and I don't know what the future holds for me. So when it comes to an ailment situation of an elderly person, I am very careful when I'm giving comment about that. So like Uncle said, we are humans. Everybody can fall sick. Even as young as I am, I can fall sick. And I also respect the wife because he's an academic, an astute academic. He's a professor. She's a professor. And so in academia, she's a senior to me, and so I have to give her the respect. But the problem I have is she coming out instead of the lawyers. And that is the disrespect Ghanaians feel whenever they are talking about the Ken Ofori-Atta issue. What stops his lawyers to actually put a report and an official letter and send to the OSP to give us, or to give the OSP, a vivid detail or information about the status of his situation out there? So the question is, what the wife is doing, is it formal? I see it as an informal kind. So the OSP can decide to buy it or decide not to buy it. So these games that they are playing, you know, they should be very careful. You were entrusted with the national purse. Certain decisions were taken. A new government has come. Investigative agencies and bodies are investigating, and they feel like you have some questions to answer. Like Uncle said, you have not been accused of anything. At this moment, you are a suspect. Just come, respond to the issues to the best of your knowledge, and then allow the process to go on. But this kind of gimmicks and all of that, I think it doesn't even augur well to the name, to the Ofori-Atta name, you know, and the action name that we all, you know in the history of this country. I think it actually doesn't serve them well.
Right. Thank you very much. My time is up. Thank you to our cherished viewers for your time this morning. Extremely grateful. And to my very intelligent panelists, Mr. Philip Langdon and Dr. Felix Larry Sophie. Thank you so much for honoring my invitation and Pan-African Television's invitation. I'll see you tomorrow, Friday edition of the show you wouldn't want to miss. Until then, have a nice day. Bye-bye.